Last time on Rolling with Remix, Fallen Empires. The battle with Dragatha raged on, with our heroes being joined by a series of circumstantial allies. And as the world raged in an inferno around them, Corellian finally landed a final blow, destroying the body of the horrid Dracolich. With no army, or in the case of most of the city-state's scouting party, in any shape to continue fighting, Ravanaala proposed a ceasefire, which our heroes agreed and expanded into proposing a meeting to see if they could finally get a handle on what's going on and potentially get aid in the fight against Rankol, finally. Returning to Batenrance Hall, our heroes saw, carting out a wheelbarrow full of books, Quintessa, very harried but having returned from the Feywild. Along with, piled under the books, Esgal, who was completely naked. She caught up with Malifane, and explained that if diplomacy talks were happening, it was best that she was not there. And in fact, she thought it would be best if she did not continue adventuring, having gone through far too much and sacrificed far too much in the quest to get Esgal back. Meanwhile, the rest of the party discussed their game plan, saying that while it would be great if they could put an end to the Civil War, or at least start those talks, the end goal was to get the city-states to stop hating them, and hopefully, get some allies in the fight against Rankol, or even just Stayavana, if they were unable to convince the representatives of the city-states that Rankol existed, let alone was behind everything. Awaiting them in the council that turned into sort of a tribunal, as the party directed the city-states representatives to direct their hate onto them, with Raxudal acting as mediator, were Roderick Redwald, the last Duke of Port Mirandu, Kailani, acting as representative for the Marrow while Mizuko was distracted, Ravanaala of the Shi-Sin-Thay, Prince Zordan of the Oriad, Captain Jemvik Ilikavilla, and King Zakti. After the first complaints were vented, the party first talked to Kailani, who explained as best he could the terms of the contract between the elves and Marrow that set up the oil rig in the first place, even though he was not a party to making it. But, as things seemed to indicate that the Marrow were the villains, and that Kailani himself could be seen as the villain for trying to help his sick and injured kin, he stormed out of the meeting. Ravanaala was a good deal more patient in explaining her and the elves' position on the whole thing, and accepting that perhaps there was information the elves were not party to, but they acted on what they thought was correct. However, Zordan, who had previously fought the elves, was not having it, saying that his honor was besmirched after the elves attacked his city, and he was denied that honor, thanks to the party. And also thanks to Quintessa, who was just killing Oriad when the rest of the party tried to keep all of them alive. Tensions were running high, so the tribunal agreed to a brief recess. This would hopefully give the party enough time to get two sources of information that could help them. One, Mizuko, who would know and be able to argue a great deal more of the Marrow's position than Kailani would be able to. And to retrieve Quintessa, for it seemed Zordan's bloodlust would only be sated if she were to answer for her crimes. Will our heroes be able to address the tribunal's distaste of them? What can or will the elves do more to make up for the fact that they initiated war on Batenrance Hall? And will Alex ever go back to anything Roll20 related for Dungeons & Dragons ever again? Find out on tonight's episode of Rolling with Remix, Fallen Empires.